And the Academy Award for Worst Actress, 17 Rotten Tomatoes, goes to The Woman Who's Never Going Home.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, that's you. You know who you are. You're sitting right there. You're sitting in your chair. You know that I am your very own personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer coming to you, well, not so live, but kind of live, here at the Minneapolis headquarters for Criminal Lawyer Reacts with just a song in my heart, and I'm just here to talk about, another entitled killer realizes she ain't going home. But before we get into this, so they're going to ask for the death penalty on that. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But before we get to that, this is brought to you by AskALawyer.com. AskALawyer.com. For like $49, if you have a question for a lawyer, you don't need to hire one. You have a nagging question, or you want to see if you need to hire a lawyer. You can go to AskALawyer.com to ask any question. They also have AI, so you get an immediate response. They have lawyers on standby. If grandma can use it, why couldn't you? It's very easy to use. Go to AskALawyer.com. It's a really effective tool to give you a quick answer to a legal question that you might otherwise hire somebody like me and pay him a lot of money for not even a better result. So go to AskALawyer.com. All right, they're our loyal sponsor and also with eForms and eSign. But I am board certified. That means I have taken 2 exams because I'm certified by the National Board of Trial Advocacy as a criminal trial specialist. It means I go to trial. I don't just write passports to prison. And I'm also certified under the Minnesota State Bar Association as a criminal law specialist. So I do criminal work, and this is what I do. That's why when I do a reaction to somebody who thinks they're going home, it's funny, but it's also informative. So this is a cold reaction, so let's get right to it.
This is 27-year-old Devan Schreiner. Devon has just been brought in for questioning after her ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old mailman Jason Schaefer, was shot and killed.
Well, okay, first of all, this is brought to you by Red Tree Stories, so give them some love. That's who's produced the original content here. And when your boyfriend's shot, guess who the first suspect is? You are, if you're some evil bitch thinking you're never going to go home, or thinking you are going to go home.
His death occurred during his mail route when an unknown suspect approached him and took his life while he was putting mail into a mailbox. The police believe that Devon is the shooter, but they will treat her as a victim for now.
All right. That is a tactic. Good cop, bad cop, buddy. And, hey, I'm so sorry for your loss. Can I ask you a question? Where is the gun that you purchased last week? Is that in your purse, or did you bury it in the backyard?
Thank you.
And there's things you can't control. And these cops, I don't want to say they have a sixth sense because I don't want to give them more credibility than they deserve, honestly, because I'm not a huge fan of cops. I'm only a big fan of cops by virtue of the fact that they take people off the street and they feed my children. But there's things you can't control, like sweating, like, your ass crack getting filled with sweat because you're fucking guilty as fuck.
Mind if I shut the door for fun?
I don't really care.
Do you mind if I shut the door while I fuck up the rest of your life?
I want my son. Where is my son?
I'll tell you everything. How about that? You're Devon?
Yes.
So once they shut the door, what do you think she should do? You are my students. You know what she should do. She should what? Shut the fuck up. Give me a lawyer, blah, blah, blah.
Am I pronouncing it right?
Yes.
I'm Steve. You can call me Steve. I'm going to tell you some bad news. Your ex-boyfriend, is it? Ex-husband?
You mean the guy that I just shot? Or that guy?
I just call him my son's dad.
Son's dead.
We were never married, but...
He died today.
And the Academy Award for Worst Actress, 17 Rotten Tomatoes, goes to The woman who's never going home.
What? How? What happened?
Someone shot him in the face.
In the face? Where?
In the face. He got shot in the face with a shit pistol.
On his postal route.
He was working today? He doesn't...
Yeah. Yeah, he was working. And someone came up and shot him.
You can tell she's really upset. Look at the tears just flowing out of her face. Now, here's the thing. People all the time overanalyze people's reactions. Like, I had a case where the prosecutor made all this hubbub that my client wasn't crying, or he was crying but no tears were coming out. And it was a situation where she had a boyfriend and she had my client. And they both had the exact same reaction. Men cry less. They actually, there's been studies, they actually produce less tears. And I don't really put a whole lot of stock into overanalyzing what her reaction is. But we can make fun of it, sure.
Based on that superb acting alone, it appears that at the very least, Devon is involved in the shooting death of her ex-boyfriend.
When did this
Based on the superb acting alone, I don't think you can say that.
happen?
12:32 today.
It is 6 o'clock.
I got a lot to tell you, a lot to share with you. I want to tell you that your son's safe right now. But I want
And you're not going to see your son out of prison scrubs probably for the rest of your life.
to read your rights just so you know about it. Let you know that we're recording this because we have to. We have to record everything.
Okay, read your rights. Why would you need rights? Because you're in custody and there's interrogation. But sometimes cops do it even when you're not arrested, just to be safe. Because guess what? If she starts incriminating herself, she's going to get arrested. And all of a sudden she's not free to go.
And just so don't play games with you, because I don't like to play games with you.
Read me my rights?
I'm not going to play games with you. That's exactly what you want to do, is play games with her.
Yeah, just to get it out of the way.
I was at work today.
Okay, perfect. You got a good excuse. Shouldn't be a big deal. But I want to ask you about it. I want to exonerate you if possible, and then move on to the next suspect.
My rights and my son's rights were violated when you took him from school and did not contact me.
Yeah. So that's what I want to talk to you about. So let me read your rights, just so you know what they are.
The detective reads Devon her rights, so now anything she says or does will be used against her in court.
I need to see my son.
We need to figure out what's going on and how your husband, how your baby's father died. So we're not going to let the son go just yet.
Wait, he doesn't need to go, but if he can I at least see him first?
Right now, no.
Why?
Right now, no. Because we got to figure out if the butler killed your the baby daddy's son, or if you killed the baby daddy's son.
The butler? I thought it was a Professor Plum in the dining room with a candlestick.
Rookie killed him, or if it's a random person killed him. I don't know who killed him.
I'm not calm.
Yeah.
My son was taken. Nobody told me that anything happened. My son was taken from school by either police and
Okay, now, something's off with her, don't you think? Something just seems just not right, just the way she's acting.
I was not informed, or by somebody who is not legally allowed to pick him up from school.
Yeah.
The detective explains that when a parent is killed, standard procedure is to make sure the child is safe, in case the other parent is the murderer.
Okay, but then they have my contact information.
Yeah.
So they...
Okay, she knows her son's safe, right? Her baby daddy is dead. And she's not even talking about that. She has no clue. Even if you fucking hated your ex, the fact that your child probably still loved that parent should weigh heavy on your mind. And the fact that the kid will never see that parent again, unless you did shoot him in the face with a shit pistol.
They couldn't have just said...
Yeah, you're not listening, though. We didn't want them to release the child to you.
Don't release him to me. But nobody even told me his whereabouts.
Well,
I thought he was with his father.
The police escorted him back here, and Rosa was here as well.
Why? She is not his guardian.
No, she's not his guardian.
Okay, then why was she here?
We're not releasing her yet. We want to find
So
out
she's
who
with
killed
him?
her.
She's with my son?
We're all with. She's being interviewed by a detective because we're not sure who she
Rosa, I'm guessing Rosa is probably the paternal grandmother.
sure who she is.
She's my sister.
The child is here.
Oh, I'm wrong. She's a sister.
The child is being interviewed.
Okay.
Forensic interviewer.
He should not be interviewed because I didn't give consent for him to be spoken
He's a
to.
witness, so he doesn't need consent from the
Was he there? Was he in the...
But he's going to tell us about the relationship between you and his father. But
No, I don't understand how this can all happen without me even knowing that anything happened in the first place.
Lady, I would like a lawyer. See you later. I invoke my right to not incriminate myself. I would like a lawyer.
because we don't release children to abusive husbands that kill their wives.
So you're saying that I am abusive and I killed his father?
I'm saying that this is police standard practice 101. We don't release children to people we don't know.
I'm not asking you to release him. I am asking why I was not contacted in any sort of form about my child.
Somehow her outrage seems like, oh, let's delay the inevitable. In other words, if I'm outraged about this, that's, whenever you talk to somebody, they're lying if they give you too many details or they're outraged about something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Child's whereabouts or that there was even an incident.
I don't know about that specifically. I know we wanted to find you and we were trying to track you down.
You could have found me when you picked him up from school because they have my information. I pay for him to go to that school. They have that information.
Well, I'm going to talk to the officers that did that. Like I said, I wasn't there. Okay. Does it surprise you that someone would go up and shoot him?
Yes, it surprises me a lot. I didn't know, I don't know anybody that would want to hurt him.
Except for me, maybe. Maybe I might want to shoot him in the face with a shit pistol. I don't know. I mean, she just seems off.
How was your relationship?
It was never great. I mean, it started out okay, and then we had him, and I mean, it wasn't great. He left us when he was 6 months. He moved out, and we tried, I guess, a couple of times to work things out, but it never worked.
Hello, this is Bruce.
Hello?
Hello, this is Bruce.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
I had filed a restraining order against him back in, I don't know, 2015, 2016 at the end.
So, when you get into a situation where you file a restraining order, you probably shouldn't shoot him in the face with a shit pistol because you are going to be a suspect, no matter what. And if you're in a situation where you need to file a restraining order, you shouldn't try to work it out with that person. You should just leave them alone. And if somebody's filed a restraining order against you or called the cops against you, never be with a woman that's going to call the cops on you guys. Never, ever, ever. And never put your hands on a woman. Unless she's beating the shit out of you. I mean...
Or the beginning of the year, I don't remember. We had an altercation and I asked him to leave my house because he wasn't living there anymore, and he got a little physical while I was holding my son, and he was an infant at the time, and so I filed it to get him to back off a little bit, and when I went to make it permanent, they're like, you know how hard this is going to be, like, if you make it permanent, like, it's going to be really hard to do transitions because he has partial custody and all of this stuff.
So one of the unintended consequences of domestic violence is, the lack of contact all of a sudden with the other party, which makes raising a child very difficult. If there's no child involved, it's not that big a deal. But, or if the woman isn't working or makes a lot less, all of a sudden she can't afford the place to stay, right? Because you have two incomes. So there's a lot of unintended consequences, and a lot of women will forego no contact or restraining order so that, to make peace and so that they can live.
It's going to be really hard, like, you understand that, right? And so I was a new mom, like, I didn't I couldn't do it by myself. And
Raise your kids is tough.
yeah, and I was like, I don't, hopefully that won't happen again. And
Let's talk about everything but the shot in the face with the shit pistol.
so I didn't make it permanent.
The detective is about to tell Devon the evidence they have that shows she could be the shooter.
We saw your car in the area of the crime scene. Your car was a Nissan Rogue that is missing a front passenger front hubcap. We got your car.
That's pretty identifiable. And here's the thing. If you're going to drive somewhere to go kill somebody, don't use your own car. I'm not trying to tell you how to kill somebody because you just shouldn't. And it's just too much work, honestly. And it's just too much downside to that. You know, I mean, but if you're missing a hubcap, I had one case where my client was a preacher who shot his ex-wife's lover. And he had the most identifiable white Cadillac with these custom rims. And you saw it every which way, you know, on the cameras, you know, the traffic cams.
On a license plate reader a little while ago with your license plate, and it has that front passenger hubcap missing. Sure enough, in the videos around the crime scene, that car is there with that front passenger bumper or hubcap missing. You said you're at work.
So here's the thing. So your car is there. So why don't we get your cell phone records and see where the fuck the towers hit? And we can see where your phone was. So if your car was there, your phone was there. Oh, but you weren't there, right? Where were you? You were at the mall? Were you at the mall? Were you getting some panties at the mall? Were you? No. So, I mean, that's how they do this. And I'm telling you, it's really effective. Because guess what we leave everywhere we go? A digital footprint.
Today, but your scanner goes off before the homicide and it turns back on well after the homicide. Yeah. And we caught the shooting on one of the massive doorbell cameras from across the street.
Didn't think about that, now did you? You know, that's the other thing with these Ring doorbell cameras. They're everywhere, and they are actually high quality video, not like the grainy shit from yesteryear, but they're everywhere. And so they're able to piece this shit together. That's like on the Rico case. They've got so much multimedia stuff, and that's the way most of these murder cases are built these days. Very rarely do you have a clean murder case without where it's just circumstantial evidence.
So I'm really kind of concerned. I know that you got served just the other day with the child custody order, and you're a little upset about that. Why is your car in the crime scene area? Why are you in that area in your car? And why are you turning off your scanner?
I didn't turn off my scanner.
No, you did.
No, I did not.
Postal inspectors are here.
Turn off my scanner.
You didn't go with the scanner. The scanner's at your boyfriend's house, or somewhere in that area, in front of it, or in a bush somewhere in that area. It wasn't with you. Okay, they have a breadcrumb trail, a GPS on your scanner.
Yes.
Postal inspectors were here, and they said before the homicide, you're not doing anything with the scanner. It's stationary for like 3 hours or more.
Just as data proves something, the lack of data can also prove something. You know, if all of a sudden your phone's on and then during the crime your phone's off and then all of a sudden your phone's back on again, what does that tell you?
And it should be mobile because you're working, but it's at your boyfriend's house, and why is your car in the crime scene area?
The officer explains that he knows her ex-boyfriend served her custody papers a few days before the shooting, and he knows her car was in the area when the shooting took place.
Here's the thing. Custody and child rearing is an emotional thing for people. When I remember I got divorced from Michael's mom, and I remember all of a sudden I couldn't see that little guy every day, and I was just absolutely beside myself. Did I go over and shoot her in the face with a shit pistol? No, I did not. Why didn't I? Because why would I hurt her? You know, it's not her fault that we're getting divorced. It's probably my fault, and you know I was being a dick and whatever. That's so you process these things and you muddle through hard fucking times. So what was my solution to that? I'd go to school and have lunch with him when I couldn't see him. You know, so when we made a plan to see or talk to him every day, and so we worked around it. You don't go shoot your ex-lover in the face with a shit pistol. You just don't do that.
Now it's time to accuse Devon of being involved in her ex-boyfriend's murder.
And guess what? Now this kid doesn't have either parent. You know, I mean, you love your kids so much that you're going to ruin your life, his life, and the dad's life? Stupid.
Listen, something's not right here. I think the gig is up. There's something weird going on here. Everything is pointing to you being involved in this shooting. People don't go around just shooting postal people.
I mean, I work for the post office, and I have before, and I have been.
Why are you? What's your involvement in this? Because I think there's a lot more than you're telling us. The video of the shooter looks kind of like you. It's from a distance, but it looks like your height and your build. It doesn't look like AJ's height.
Your height, your build, your phone, your scanner, I guess you're kind of fucked.
Build doesn't look like Castaneda's height and build. Looks like your build with a black hoodie. Now, we're going to search your house, we're going to search your car, we're going to seize your car. We're going to do a gunshot residue test on you.
Sorry.
GSR is a test that they, when you shoot a firearm, there's an explosion that happens, and that puts gunpowder kind of everywhere. But because you don't have it, doesn't mean you didn't shoot it. So they don't put a lot of stock into the GSR testing. But it sounds good when you're talking to a defendant in an interview like this because they don't know any better.
Go ahead.
So we're not gonna leave any stone unturned. You're involved in this, okay? I want to know what your involvement is. Did a boyfriend try to tell you that he's going to take care of this? Were you involved in it? Because someone is there doing this. It's not a random shooting, and so the gig is up. Okay.
I read on the way here about what happened, and they said that a man shot him.
That's what we originally thought.
Do you remember the beginning of the interview? Do you remember that where she's told about it, and she's like, she tries to pretend like she's just heard this for the first time. Who believes her? Nobody. And now she says, well, I knew about it before I sat down.
We originally thought, yeah. Now we're thinking it could be you. We're thinking it could be maybe your boyfriend. Thank you. That's not the question. That's not the right answer.
What am I supposed to say?
We're trying to get all this evidence together. We're trying to put the pieces together. And I don't think you're being truthful with me. And I want to know why your car's there, why you're not using the scanner, why the scanner was left there. It looks like you're involved in this. So tell me why you're not involved in this. Have you been around any guns lately? Have you been shooting anything lately?
No.
So we do a gunshot residue.
No. Doesn't seem convincing, does it?
Test that's going to come back negative.
It better.
It better? I mean, listen to her. She's such a poor actress.
Listen,
I feel like
I'm trying to figure out if you did this or if someone else did this. And my bet is you have someone else involved in this, maybe a friend. And so I'm trying to figure out if you talk to me about this,
I understand why I would be a suspect because of who I am related to him.
And your car.
But I don't. There was things in the past that have happened with him and I that I could have gone to court or I could have tried to call the police. I mean, I have and it didn't help. But there's other things that I could have done. Why would I shoot him?
I don't know why people ever shoot people. And I'm not saying you shot him. Maybe someone else shot him. Maybe people just lost their temper. Someone shot him. We know that. Someone shot him 5 times in the face. That's kind of a lot.
5 times in the face seems pretty fucking personal. Because you don't come back from that.
Hatred. They didn't steal anything from him. They didn't have any issue with him. There wasn't a traffic road rage case. Someone shot him because they're really upset with him. They shot him in cold blood. They shot him 5 times and let him bleed to death there. Okay? Your car was there. So tell me someone borrowed your car.
I was at work on my route, which is not close to not super close to the post office.
Why is your car in Longmont? when your scanner.
I don't know. I am on my route working.
Do you work in a mail truck or your personal car?
No, I work in a mail truck.
Okay. So why is your car down here killing UX?
I don't know.
You don't know why your car is over there? I mean, you should know where your car is. I know where my car is right now. It's in the parking ramp right behind me. I mean, everybody knows where their car is. Unless you give it to, crackhead who goes to shoot your ex in the face with a shit pistol.
That's so concerning to me.
Yes, I do understand
so
that.
Borrow your car? Help me out here.
I don't know, but it seems like with all of these things that you're going to be doing that I need to have a lawyer or ask for a lawyer, or I don't know.
So you would think that's asking for a lawyer, right? But no, it's not. It's equivocal. So she hasn't invoked her Fifth Amendment right or Sixth Amendment right to a counsel here yet.
As soon as Devon says the word lawyer, the detective is forced to shut down the interrogation. As the detective is taking gunpowder residue samples, the postal inspector enters the room and asks if he can speak with Devon.
First of all, her request for a lawyer, at least from what I've seen there, is equivocal. But it's better to be on the safe side from the cop's standpoint than to violate her right to counsel. And so once you invoke your right to counsel, they cannot reinitiate interrogation. But what they will do is they'll let you sit on that fucking sofa and record you sitting by yourself for maybe a couple hours, maybe even 2 or 3 hours, maybe even 3 or 4 hours. So they record you to try to get you to say something. So they're not supposed to reinitiate interrogation.
Well, first off, I'm sorry about what's happened today. So today's been a stressful day for you, for your child. So.
And it's not okay after she's invoked her right to counsel for another law enforcement agency or agent to come and then reinitiate interrogation.
I understand that.
I don't think you do.
Well, I can empathize with the fact that it's probably one of the worst days in your life. So
on top of what happened, my child was picked up by the police from school, and I was not contacted.
Okay.
And I know this had nothing to do with you.
I know. I understand. I'm a father. I've got kids myself. That would upset me too.
And I can really relate to you. I mean, fuck, I shot my wife in the face with a shit pistol 5 times. I get it. It's just tough.
I'm not allowed to see my son. Like, doesn't understand what's happened, and he was put in a police car, which he loves police, so I'm sure he was like, hey, this is fun.
Sure.
But he's traumatized. Like, he doesn't know what's going on. He's not allowed to see me. He's not allowed to see his father. His father's not here.
Yeah, how about as soon as we're done, let's make sure that gets scored away. I'm sure he's being taken care of right now. They have folks that would be watching him right now. But I'll make sure you see him after we chit-chat, okay? But let me start off with, how long have you worked up at the Loveland Post Office?
Since the end of June or the beginning of July. I don't remember my exact date.
So you were working today, because today's Wednesday. So where do you actually live?
I live in Fort Collins.
In Fort Collins? Do you live by yourself?
Yes, it's just me and my son.
You and your son? Okay. And then tell me about your day. What happened after you checked in? What route did you have to?
Meanwhile, they've talked to the son. I'm not sure how old his son is, but he's school age. And they've done other investigation. They've talked to other people. So this person knows more than she does, or at least more than she knows about the investigation. So when they're asking questions, they're asking them for a pretty darn good reason. And they already know the answer to most of these questions.
Okay. So you left the post office around 10:30?
Yes.
Okay. So between 8 and 10:30, you were working,
Yes.
casing your mail.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of packages?
Not today, no.
Okay. So tell me about your day. So you started scanning packages, you started your route, and then what happened?
My guy AJ, he lives on that route, and so since Wednesdays are his day off, and things are very complicated with us, I try to see him on his day off.
Okay. So you stopped by on your route,
Yes.
hang out with him. Did you do that today?
Yes, I do it every Wednesday.
Okay, every Wednesday, that's kind of your normal routine.
Yes.
What time did you get over to his place?
I don't know. I don't know exactly when I got over there.
Okay.
I wasn't really looking at the time. I was ahead of what I normally am for that day.
According to the police report, Andrew Ritchie, who was Devon's boyfriend, helped her plan the murder. On the day of the murder, he followed Jason on his route while in constant communication with Devon to let her know his location.
I've never understood guys who are so fucking wrapped up in pussy that they have to do something stupid like this for somebody who's not worth it. I mean, nobody's worth it. Let's just put it that way. Nobody's worth taking a life. I mean, it's just not worth it. I mean, look at, they're both now on the hook for this murder. And they're not smart.
Let me ask you this. So, just talking about AJ, you said he's been a correctional officer, and of course, being a law enforcement officer, he has a gun. Have you ever shot a gun before?
Yes, multiple times.
Okay. When's the last time you've ever shot a gun before?
Let's see, there was this time I shot my ex in the face with a shit pistol. Does that qualify?
Over a year ago.
Okay. And whose gun was that?
It was one of his.
One of AJ's? When's the last time you shot a handgun?
A really long time ago, like over 10 years ago.
Okay. So, do you know how to shoot a handgun?
I mean, I guess I would know the basics just like every other gun, but I don't know
Okay.
specifically what you're asking.
Well, I'm asking, you said you don't have a gun.
No.
See, one of the things that's kind of dumb about answering these types of questions, people will lie about this kind of stuff. Like, I shot, maybe 10 years ago, when all of a sudden, she's dating somebody who's, sounds like he's a cop or cop wannabe or whatever, so he's got guns. And they probably go out shooting together. And I bet you any money there's a video of her shooting a gun on her phone.
Do you know how Jason passed away today?
Yes, they said he was shot.
Okay. Who said that?
The detective.
Okay. The detective told you he was shot?
The detective told me he was shot in the face.
The detective said shot in the face? Okay. Now, how did it make you feel to find out that the father of your child was shot in the face with a gun?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I'm very upset about it. I know that, like I said, I know that we've had our issues, but.
Okay. Would there be any reason when they put your clothes under a microscope, they're going to see any type of gunshot residue? Okay. You're 100% positive that they won't find any? Okay. And if they do, what would that mean?
Couldn't give you an answer to that.
Okay. So one of the other things that happens, especially in these types of things where it's like kind of closer range, like the other thing that happens is like there's microscopic like blood droplets that come back on people, and it kind of splatters your clothes too. So they're going to take a look for, is there going to be any reason that there's going to be any type of, because they're going to take a look at everything, like your shoes, your socks, they have FBI labs here too that can find, I'm sure you've seen like FBI files and all that kind of stuff too.
So he's talking to her about all this stuff that possibly could happen to try to shake her confidence, and to see if he can rattle her.
They have labs that pretty much can, what they do is, you see how these shoes have like this really intricate weave?
Mm-hmm.
So they can actually go in there with different tools and technologies and find like blood droplets that you can't even see with a regular microscope. It's like a forensic microscope. So what they're going to do is they're going to take a look at that. So I think probably what they're going to find is some of Jason's blood on your shoes. Would you agree with that?
On my shoes?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
agree with that.
Okay, how about on your clothes right here and on your pants?
No,
Are they going to find any blood droplets when they look at it with this like super, super sophisticated technology? And I want to give you the benefit of the doubt.
So you're not just a postal inspector, is what I'm getting at.
No, I'm a postal inspector. That's exactly what I am. Let me show you my.
Postal inspectors, they don't just handle the fucking mail. They're law enforcement, and they are tied in with the FBI. They're tied in with forensics. They're just tied in with everything. But one of the main things they do is when you got on the dark web and you order a package of fucking fentanyl or whatever, it comes through the post office. And, when they all of a sudden come up to your house and they deliver it and they're watching your front door, guess who comes to get you? The DEA and the postal inspector.
But they do have labs, and I know that they check people's clothing to either clear them. If we can clear, the one thing we want to do is if somebody wasn't involved, and maybe you just happen to be standing nearby and something got on you, but we want to make sure we clear people that weren't involved. And one of the things we do is we use forensics, okay? We use forensics in a variety of ways. So no, I'm a postal inspector, so I wasn't lying to you about that by any means. I asked you if they were going to.
And I answered.
And you said no. So, and I appreciate that. Because that's one of the tough questions I have to ask people. Especially since this was is the father of your child, okay? Mm-hmm. One of the other things that we look at when we're doing forensics and that type of thing.
The other thing is, people are watching this in another room, and they'll text him questions.
Thing is, we take a look at cell phone information. Where were you? Cell phones right now they're like little GPS beacons. I don't know if you know that. Have you ever seen that on TV?
You use GPS on the phone all the time.
Yeah. So it's like the same thing. So you seem like a smart person, so you know how GPS records work too, right? So one of the things we're going to do as part of this is we're going to have to pull phone records, okay? So we're going to take a look at it and we're going to say, okay, this is where you told me you were, and this is where your phone was. Because you had your phone all day, like you told me, because you were talking on it. You didn't lend your phone to anybody, I'm assuming. No? Okay. You had your phone all day. Mm-hmm. So we can really...
So she's, by sitting here and talking to the cop, she's locking herself in to everything he's saying. And, if you look at a cell tower, it's 3 sides. I think it's the north side, southwest, and southeast side. So what they can do is they can triangulate where you are, and they can give you a pretty darn good GPS coordinates to show you are pretty much in this area right here.
You just go to the cell phone company with the court order. We have to get a warrant and say, where was her cell phone, every second of that day? And on this type of thing, we go to those extra links. So are we going to see that your cell phone was over there where this happened to Jason?
I'm not entirely sure where it happened, but no, I had it with me in Loveland.
Okay, you had it with you in Loveland. Okay. It never left your side.
No, it was with me in Loveland.
Okay.
It never left your side, so it's tied to you. That means wherever the phone was, you were there. And that means that when we get the tower logs and we can show where you were going to put you right there at the scene of the crime.
Could you have been accidentally gotten over into that area where this happened? Do you know where it happened?
In Loveland.
What a great question. Could you have accidentally? No, it was no accident. I was doing everything on purpose, including shooting my ex in the face with a shit pistol.
Okay. Well, this happened in Longmont. Was your phone ever in Longmont today?
No.
Okay, so
that can be proved false if the tower records show differently, and the records don't lie.
We pull your phone records. Is it going to show that your phone was in Longmont?
No.
Is it going to show that it was in that area?
No, I don't know what area, but it hasn't been in Longmont.
Okay. The area that is his normal route is
I
where
don't
it happened.
know his normal route.
Okay. One of the things I really need to ask you about, and I know you're probably nervous, and this is a stressful thing, but one of the things that we went out and did today, or the police department did, and they had a lot of help, is they pulled surveillance video from a lot of different locations in the area.
Yes.
They actually captured what happened on one of the surveillance videos.
That's what the detective said.
Okay.
Yes.
They also captured the vehicle that was involved on the surveillance footage. And they captured the license plate.
Okay.
And it was your vehicle that was over there.
So it's not just the hubcap, it's her vehicle.
That's what the officer said.
Yeah. So I need to find out, honestly, what happened today.
That is also what the officer said.
Okay. But I need you to tell me, there's a big difference between something, and I'm sure you probably don't have a criminal history. I haven't even looked.
Yeah, I mean, if you shot your ex in the face with a shit pistol, I'm sure you're just going to get probation. I mean, the judge will go easy on you. And you know what? I'm here to help you, honestly. I'm just here to help you. You'll go, you just admit that you did this and it'll go easy on you. I mean, just a traffic ticket. I mean, really. He probably deserved it anyway, didn't he?
No, I do not.
But most of the people I deal with are people that have been arrested like 20, 25 times. They're out committing robberies of postal carriers. They're out doing lots of different things, okay? I don't think that's you.
Hey, look, you probably had your reasons. You're not a bad person. Just because, he's gonna try to take your kid away from you, come on, you're okay.
These other people are people that all they do is live a life of crime. They're out planning crimes all day long.
And if you shot him in the face with a shit pistol, it was probably an accident, right? I mean, it was an accident, wasn't it? I mean, I'm sure you didn't really mean to shoot him in the face with a shit pistol. I mean, isn't that what happened? I mean, it was an accident. It just went off, right? And he got shit all over his face. Isn't that what happened? Oh, are you crying? Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let me get you a milkshake. I mean, give me a fucking break.
All night long because they have a drug addiction. And that's primarily what drives them, okay?
And you're not like all these other people, who have all these other problems. You're a single mom. You're just trying to do it on your own. Look, he's totally ingratiating himself to her to try to get her to open up.
You do not look like the type of person.
And look where he is. Look at his stance. I mean, he is fucking close. They're almost knee to knee. And he's getting closer as he's talking to her.
Type of person that does drugs, am I correct?
No, I never have.
Never done drugs or anything like that. So you do not seem like the type of person to me. And again, I just met you, and I just got on this, but you don't seem like a cold-blooded killer that's been planning something for years, and that this was your perfect opportunity. To me, based on what I've heard and from talking to you, this is something where something just snapped. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't.
So he's trying to find a rationale for why she would do this.
Something out here.
Me?
Just hold on. Where you were thinking about doing something like this for a long period of time. You weren't planning. I mean, it happened in the middle of the day. This isn't something that happened late at night. This is something that happened in the middle of the day. So you know what almost every house has these days? They have cameras. They have Ring cameras.
Right.
So we had your car over there. You already told me you're the only person that drives that vehicle.
I also told her I was at work, and nobody seems to believe that either. So.
No, we understand that you
No, we don't believe that. You know why? Because it's not true. That's why we don't believe it.
were at work for part of the time. I believe that.
I didn't say that either.
Say what?
I didn't say part of the time. I said I was at work all of the time.
Okay. Well, we understand that you work today. Okay. I don't want to get into the mix with you. But what I am trying to ask you is this. Your vehicle was over there where this happened at the time that it happened. We have witnesses and we have surveillance footage.
Right.
And she also said that nobody ever used her vehicle. So that kind of destroys any kind of alibi that she's got.
And
We always-
I said
so-
to the detective, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, you don't have an answer. You have like zero answer? How do you think something like that could happen?
I don't know, and that is where I asked the detective to speak to a lawyer.
You think somebody stole your car?
No, that's when I asked the detective to speak to a lawyer. So let's say, for the sake of argument, we go to court, and now she's invoked. That is a more emphatic, I want to talk to a lawyer. I told the detective I wanted to talk to a lawyer. He really shouldn't be questioning her anymore.
Again, I'm going to ask to speak to a lawyer
Okay.
if we're going to continue with this questioning. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. So let me make sure I'm clear with you. If we don't talk about the car, you're fine to continue to help me with Jason. But you don't want to talk about the car.
I don't want to talk about something that you are saying is incriminating me.
Okay.
That's emphatic. I don't want to talk to you about anything. And so he's just trying to clarify. In other words, is there any daylight in there that I can try to continue to talk to her?
When I did not do this.
I'm just saying that the vehicle was there.
And I just...
And she is emphatically said, I want to talk to a lawyer. And I don't want to talk about anything that's going to incriminate me. She's invoked her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And he continues to question her, interrogate her. So what's the remedy for that? Well, you file a motion, a suppression motion, and anything after this, actually after her asking probably the first time when she wants to talk to a lawyer, would probably be suppressed.
No response for it.
Okay.
I don't have an answer. I don't know how to tell you that
Well, I
the
guess
car was there while I was at work in Loveland.
Okay. Well, if you're fine with it, can I show you a picture of the car that was there? Would you be comfortable?
See, this is kind of bullshit, honestly. She's invoked her right to. She's invoked her Fifth Amendment right, and which is hers to do. She's invoked her Sixth Amendment right to counsel, and he should not continue at all.
Comfortable with me doing that?
You can show me whatever you like. Like I said, I am asking for a lawyer to speak to for any further questioning.
Okay.
So him showing her something is a way of him trying to elicit a response from her, and that is not okay. Now she's asked for a lawyer how many times? Once with the original cop, and I counted like 2 or 3 more times.
Okay. So you don't want to talk to me anymore to help us with this at all anymore?
I have helped.
Okay. So I just want to make sure we're clear. You don't want to talk to me anymore about this? You're seeking an invocation of your right to an attorney, which is fine. I just want to make sure we're absolutely clear because before you weren't. I want to make sure, because it seemed like you were helping me, and we were working on it, and I'm trying to figure out, did somebody...
You can't sit there and continue to negotiate with somebody once they've asked for a lawyer. She's emphatic. I want a fucking lawyer. Leave me the fuck alone.
Did somebody take your car or anything like that? So I don't want
nothing to hide about my day because I was at work.
Okay.
So
okay.
That's why I said I'm willing to give you the information that you are going to be having anyway when you contact whoever you contact at my job.
Okay.
It's all the information you're going to be getting.
Okay.
There is nothing being hidden. There's nothing else.
Okay. So if we don't talk about your car, do you want to continue this conversation, or are you done with the conversation?
There really isn't else
anymore?
to say. I've said my day. I've said what I needed to say. I don't see what other questions you would have.
Well, I'd like to know, who do you think would have done this to Jason?
I don't know who would have done this to Jason.
You can't continue. You just this kind of stuff infuriates me because she's already said I want a lawyer present.
I don't know his life anymore. I am no longer a part of it. He made that perfectly clear when he decided to, for lack of better words, sleep with my sister.
Oh, there we go. Now we have the motive for shooting him in the face with a shit pistol.
Okay. So I didn't know that.
Fucking dumb shit. Dumb shit. What are you doing? I didn't have that. That was the first honest thing that the cop said.
Right. So, here's the situation. I need you to go ahead and turn around for me. Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Do not move, okay?
Am I under arrest then?
What was your first clue? Was your first clue the hands behind your back and the clanking and the clicking of the handcuffs and tightening them around your delicate wrists?
We'll discuss that here in just a second. Does it feel okay? Nothing's pinching or anything like that?
No.
Right. So you are under arrest, okay? So we're going to take you downstairs. We are going to get your clothing and we'll let you go to the bathroom down there, okay?
Am I going to be told
Go and step back.
what it is
Just a little bit.
for then?
Right this way. This is going to be...
Devon was officially charged with first-degree murder and booked into the local county jail. The police then gathered up the evidence they had against her boyfriend and interviewed him next.
This is down at the scene, the neighborhood of the shooting. You can see the time, 12:06.
That's her car.
So originally you told us that she was up there at your house with you until 12:15 when you left to go to Hooters. Can you explain that? We're trying to verify Devon's timeline right now. That's the thing.
Yeah. She was not with me. That's her car, pretty close to where Jason was killed. We've got.
Did you drop her off at work? You did that morning? Okay, so you dropped her off at the... Okay, I figured you said you didn't want to answer questions about where you went that day, so that's why I'm just asking if you dropped her off at work. Okay, so on the morning of the 13th, you dropped her off at the post office. Okay. Did she ever bring her car over to your house after that?
Her car was parked by it was right up the road from my house.
Her car was... Okay. Her car is parked up the road from your house. You had taken her to work. Okay. So did you have to pick her back up from work afterwards so she could get her car?
Yes.
Okay. I'm asking that just because obviously she would need to figure out a way to get back home after that. Does that make sense?
The officers pull out a picture that was taken from Andrew's phone.
How could they think this was a good idea? I mean, I don't care what the guy did or didn't do. Stay the fuck away from him. I know he's trying to take your kid. Probably, and if he takes your kid, guess what? You won't get the child support. But, it's just not worth it.
The photo shows the victim, Jason Schaefer, on his mail route. Andrew explains that he was following Jason on the day of the murder to ensure that Devon did not follow through with her plan to kill him.
That's off your phone. 2 days before this happened. Can you explain that?
Anytime the cop asks you to, can you explain that? The answer is always going to be no. I got nothing.
You're a smart guy. I think you know where we're going with this.
Yeah,
so if you want to give us answers, now's the time to give them to us. These investigations move fast. You know that. We get this data fast. You only get a couple opportunities to give us explanations for what's going on.
And it doesn't fucking matter. Who's the only person that matters in terms of giving your side of the story? The jury. When my clients testify, the only time I want their story to be heard is not in front of cops, it's in front of a jury.
We're trying to find the truth.
So her and I were talking in the morning when I dropped her off at my house, and I didn't necessarily think too much of it. I thought that we were going to fool around after she got off, and because we've done that in the past. After she had gotten to work, or on her way to work, she had called me and told me that she had decided that was what she thought needed to happen. And she had told me that she had thought about doing this before.
You know that she wants to kill this guy. So much so to the extent that you go down to where his mail route is to keep an eye on him just in case she shows up so that you can confront her.
Correct.
B as in B, S as in S. Why didn't you call the cops? She's telling you she wants to kill him. Why didn't you go to the cops? No woman is worth risking the rest of your life because she wants to fucking take care of her ex.
She tells you over the phone that she's done, it's passed, I'm not going to do it, which you found odd, but you still hung up the phone, just told him, hey, look out, and took off.
So when I took her that morning, when I took her to the post office, that's when she told me that was going to be the day.
Yeah.
And she was never so specific like that, and she said, I already have everything I need. And I said, what are you talking about? And she's like, I have everything I need. I can do it today. She never told me what she had. She never told me what she needed. She didn't tell me any of that stuff. She just, like, the way that she was saying it, it was obvious that it has escalated to being an actual serious problem. And 3 days prior to that is when she said eviction.
Okay. But you didn't feel like it was serious enough to notify the police, say, hey, she's going to kill this guy. Why didn't you tell me?
Hindsight's 2020, but I thought I could talk.
No, it's common sense. It's not 20. Give me a break.
I could talk her down again. I talked her down prior to this. I thought I could stop her if I saw her. I just needed to see her. Like, if we were face to face, she's depressed. She's had a lot of depression issues. She sees a therapist about it. But whenever we're face to face, she calms down. I thought if I saw her, I could calm her down and she would do it, like she would snap out of it.
Okay. You were on the phone with her for like 2 hours and 40 minutes while you were down there in the neighborhood. So what are you talking about during that time?
I'm trying to talk her out of it.
You're trying to talk her out of coming down to where you are and killing someone.
I mean, when you put it that way, yes. It wasn't necessarily where I am, because I guess that was... she didn't know I was there. Like, I'm just trying to talk her out of it. But I had a feeling...
But she knew you weren't at your house because she stopped by at your house. So she didn't ask you where you were? What did you tell her when she asked you where you were?
She did ask me where I was.
Okay, what did you tell her?
I told her I was out at lunch with my friends.
Okay. You did think she was going to do it. You went down there to warn him.
Right.
You went down there not just to warn him. You went down there and you waited. If what you're telling me is true, if I'm supposed to believe what you're telling me is true, you're saying that you went all the way, you believed it so much to the extent that you went all the way down to Longmont.
In other words, do you think this cop believes him? No. Of course he doesn't.
After you had spent the night with her, to go down there and sit and follow a mail truck around for 2 or 3...
You realize you have fucked her for the last time. Oh, wait, let's take it one step further. You realize you'll never have sex with a woman for the rest of your life. Maybe somebody might have sex with you, but it ain't going to be a woman.
3 hours. That's how much you believed it. And you didn't tell anyone else. That's what I'm supposed to believe? So what if I told you that there are people that said that even though you and Jason didn't have a lot of contact together, they, from their understanding, there's tension between you and Jason. Specifically because of the situation with Devon. Who said that they feel very personally that you specifically had it out for Jason.
How and why? What's the motive there? What do I stand to benefit from that?
He was with the girl that you're apparently with.
It's not with.
They have a kid together. They spend time together.
They don't spend time together, but I could care less. She also cheated on me with 2 other guys.
Were you scouting out that area for her to come down?
She already knew his route. She already knew his route. She was at his place.
That wasn't my question.
Prior to that.
That wasn't my question.
No, I was not. What I thought...
Why did you go down there to follow him around if you didn't think that's what she was going to do?
She didn't tell me her plan. She knew that I wasn't going to be okay with it. That's not who I am.
And yet you had to go down there and find him and warn him in person because you didn't know what she was going to do.
I didn't originally intend on warning him.
You were just going to follow him for 3 hours like a stalker?
That's how it looks. That wasn't the intention, but yeah.
Because you didn't know that she was going to go do that.
Show up.
So either you did take her seriously or you didn't take her seriously. It's one or the other.
I already told you I took her seriously enough that I stayed on the phone with her and tried to convince her that these are not good options. These are not good ideas and solutions to her problem.
All right, you're under arrest. Go ahead and stand up. Place your hands behind your back.
Is it possible to do that out in the parking lot?
No, stand up for me. We'll figure out what we need to as far as your. Do you have a uniform shirt on underneath this? You took it off already. Okay. Now go ahead and face this gentleman right here.
Just like Devon.
So there are several types of homicide or murder cases. You can start from the very low end of manslaughter all the way up to murder one. And what is murder one? How is that differentiated between any other type of murder? There's a premeditation. And hanging outside somebody's house until they get out or on their route, so when they come by, and you can shoot them in the face 5 times with a shit pistol, that is premeditation. And and premeditation can be in a matter of moments. It doesn't have to be like planned out. But this certainly seems like it was planned out.
Just like Devon, Andrew was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He would eventually confess that he knew about the plan, and he assisted Devon in that plan, but his confession wouldn't change his charges.
Today, nearly 50 mail trucks honor a postal worker that was shot and killed in a Longmont neighborhood. These trucks drove the route that Jason Schaefer had worked. Investigators believe that Jason was shot by his ex-girlfriend in a case of domestic violence. And we've learned that she was recently fired from the Postal Service. Dylan Thomas joins us now from Fort Collins tonight. Dylan, neighbors tell you that police did swarm that suspect's apartment earlier today.
Yeah, I'm told this morning many officers swarmed the Marymount apartment complex where the suspect in this murder, Devan Schreiner, once lived. Residents who wish not to go on camera told CBS 4 they watched as officers went through the apartment, through the trash, and even questioned neighbors at times to see if they knew anything about this case. A 12-page arrest affidavit obtained by CBS 4 gives us a clearer idea as to what led up to Wednesday's tragic murder of a postal worker. Police say the suspected shooter, Devan Schreiner, stalked her ex-lover on his route as a mail carrier. Schreiner, who was just fired from her job at the same post office her ex worked 2 weeks ago, allegedly parked her 2017 Nissan Rogue blocks away from the shooting. Shortly after starting his delivery, residents in the Longmont neighborhood called 911, saying their post office worker had been shot and killed. Surveillance video recorded the sound of 4 shots, followed by a clip of someone running from the scene in a dark hoodie and blue COVID mask. A similar hoodie, a blue mask, and Nissan Rogue were allegedly found to be with Devon Wednesday night, and GPS technology suggested she was in the area of the shooting in Longmont before returning home to this Fort Collins apartment.
Seems like pretty damning evidence, doesn't it?
Thursday morning, with a warrant in hand, police collected evidence in the home, combing through the trash, even questioning neighbors at times. The apartment appeared to be empty and dark, but belongings found outside suggested a kid lived there. And court documents obtained by CBS 4 suggest that kid may be at the center of this entire ordeal. Court documents show that just a few years ago, the victim in this case filed for a restraining order against the suspect, and then just within the last month, the victim had asked for more custody of their child.
So there we have it. I mean, pretty open and shut case. I don't advocate taking a life. I mean, if someone's come breaking into your place and threatening you and your family with a gun, shoot them 10 times out of 10. Better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. That's what I say. And you don't have a duty to retreat in your own home. But that wasn't this. This was just cold-blooded murder because it's unclear to me when this firing of the post office took place. But it probably happened because she shot somebody in the face or she had it done.
In the end, both Andrew and Devon were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Unbelievable. They both got convicted of a first-degree murder, life without parole. For what? For what? I mean, just because the guy was going to try to get custody and change the custody arrangement. Muddle through it. It's tough when you go through those custody battles. It's really tough going through a divorce. It's tough handling, things that upset your family. No question. But is this the answer? Guess who your new family is now? They're all in orange. They're all in jumpsuits. They're all, eating cafeteria food. They're all hearing, clanging door therapy, which isn't worth it, no matter what. So we'll see you next time here in Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Don't kill anybody. That's your lesson for today, because it's not worth it. So make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And I tell you, this actually was a suggestion from our Patreon fans. So if you're on Patreon, give us some feedback, and you will have high priority in getting some content released. So go to clrbrucerivers.com for all of our merch, for your hats and hoodies and all the goodies. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God.